The election season is finally over. And one of the things that I get all the time, questions that I get all the time is, Robbie, when's the right time to buy a home? And the answer to that is whenever you are ready. Because quite frankly, the reason that you buy a home is not to gamble. We're not day trading. We're not on E-Trade trying to flip stocks or flip crypto or any of those items. We're actually planning on staying there for several years for you and your family, should you guys choose to make that decision to be able to jump in to buy a home. And timing the market for the absolute top or the absolute bottom, absolute top to sell, absolute bottom to be able to buy, none of that typically ends up running out. You typically stay in there 3, 5, 7, 10, 15 years, whatever that number happens to be. And the timing, there's never been a 10-year period in the history of real estate where the average sales price of a home has gone down. So the answer is whenever you are ready. Now, with that being said, we're going to jump into some of the stats that have popped up for October of 2024, and we'll jump into that in just a second. So I will jump in, and probably should have my screen ready to roll, but we'll jump in and get that up and running. So let me get control of that screen. You guys can see, perfect. I'll make this a little bit bigger. Boom. All right, so October 24, we got our average sales price. I want to go into closed sales. So closed sales, we're going to go look into Lafayette Parish. Now, our entire MLS has gotten quite crazy. Over the last couple of months, we actually had all of the state be able to jump in. So those numbers are really wild. But all over Lafayette Parish, you can see 277 closed sales compared to 237 closed sales in October of 2023. That represents a 16.9% increase month over month from October over to October. Year to date, we're up 3%. Now, we compare to last normal market, like I love to do, we're down 7.5% compared to 2019. But last month, we saw a nice little uptick from 255 homes sold up to 277 sold. That's an 8.5% uptick from where we were last month. When we take a look at dollar volume, our dollar volume actually told us something similar. Our dollar volume was $79.7 million for October 24. October 23 was $67.4 million. So a nice uptick right there, 18.2%. We're up 4.3% year to date. 18.8% from 2019. And again, we saw a nice little uptick from month over month. Some of this ended up popping up because we saw a decrease in the mortgage rate with the 50-point basis reduction that we saw 2 months ago from the Fed. We saw another 25% point reduction today from the Fed. So we should see a little bit of easing, at least temporarily. With the new election that has popped up, there has been a little bit of an uptick in the mortgage rates because the stock market has taken off. There's been a lot of uptick in stock market, and that usually ends up pairing with at least a temporary increase in mortgage rates for at least that, we'll probably see that for the next couple of months. I do predict that we're going to end up seeing, we'll end up seeing a gradual decrease in the mortgage rates month over month as we get a little bit further into 2025. But at least for the immediate future, I do plan on seeing rates being a touch higher November, December, and possibly January. We'll make another prediction of what that happens to look like come the first of the year. So we talked about dollar volume. We always like to take a look to see what's coming on the market, what's coming off the market. So the new homes that were listed, we saw 341 listed in October 2024. In October of 2023, 348, between 348, 341, basically the exact same. So a 2% decrease in the total number of homes sold. We're up 10.5% as far as new homes on the market compared to this time last year. Year over year, slight increase in the total number of homes. We're at 10%. Pending sales, homes that come off the market, we have an agreement between buyer or seller. What that happens to look like, we've got 306 homes in October of 2024. When we jump into October of 2023, 227 homes. That represents a 34% increase. What does that come from? That came from the drop in mortgage rate 2 months ago, we saw a nice uptick as far as the number of people that are actually out in the market. Again, the rates have kind of creeped up a little bit, especially after the election that had popped up yesterday. I do foresee, over the next couple of weeks, we're going to see an influx just from folks, because Louisiana is primarily a red state. We probably will see a little bit more of an uptick as far as the total number of pending contracts moving in immediately, and then next year moving forward, anybody that was on the other side will, after they get a chance to, when their folks don't win. Again, this isn't necessarily a political post. This is happening nationwide, primarily blue states. You're going to see a reduction in sales over in the primarily blue states. Primarily red states, you'll end up running this one as well. It's just kind of the nature of the beast. Average sales price ended up being $287,685 compared to $284,458. About a 2% increase in total average sales price. Mortgage rates, again, we're holding in the mid sixes right now. Could see a little bit of an uptick. It's going to be interesting to see how the mortgages are priced out come over the next week with that 25 basis point reduction that the Fed ended up popping up today. So like we talked about before, as far as advice to be able to go and when to jump into the market, the time for you to make that move is whenever you are ready. So we're not gambling on where you're going to be sticking your family. We're putting an investment. That money will grow, especially if you're going to be in there for the long term. So again, there is opportunity depending on which price range you are in. If you're in that lower range, we still desperately need some inventory. We're still 65% of the inventory that's been available pre-COVID. The demand has not dropped far enough of that supply to increase. So prices are going to more than likely stay the same, possibly increase as the mortgage rates typically tend to drop off. So if you're interested in finding out what your equity position happens to look like, I'd love to hear from you. Feel free to give me a call on my personal cell, 337-658-5690. You can shoot me a direct message. I'd love to hear from you. We'll see you next month.